I think Danse Macabre medieval horror role-playing is the most fun, old-school medieval role-playing game that I've been able to play and GM. It runs really smoothly, and it draws on something I think is just a really fun resource for GMs, which is actual history. The real world is full of crazy stories, and Dragon games are great, but sometimes I think they miss the opportunity to kind of build on real-world social situations, real places, just interesting facts even. And I think Chris Pickett has done a really good job of kind of blending those, thinking through, okay, well, we don't want to tell stories that just replicate bad stuff from history. And the what if is really simple, right? It's real medieval times, it's based on a lot of research, but hey, there's a zombie apocalypse basically. So you're allowed to have a lot of leeway, a lot of fun as a GM with how different communities respond to that and kind of what it means in this changing world where the old order is breaking down, you know, so you can really stick it to the nobles, but also you do have to worry about the demoniacs, the mutant zombies. So really nice. So Danse Macabre medieval horror role-playing builds on our previous games, Stillfleet and Blister Critters by Tony Grasso, by basically really focusing on medium crunch combat. So some of the things from Stillfleet that we liked still has some narrative powers, but fewer hard narrative powers and more sort of situations where you need to roll that die and you need to kill that demoniac, that mutant. And in this case, we're using from Blister Critters the idea of rolling 2 dice for damage. So you have weapon damage, like do you have a sword or a battle axe, and then you have your damage based on the skill you're using. So if you're just swinging wildly, you're rolling vitality. If you're trying to strike with precision, then you're rolling finesse. So the scores are a little different, and the attacking and damage is a little different than Stillfleet, but it definitely is building on the same system. It'd be really easy to learn whether you've played Stillfleet or not. And it gets at, I think, that feeling of shy lethality, like there are hordes of mutant zombies. So one of the things that Christopher Pickett did with Danse Macabre medieval horror role-playing is make it so that you have to burn grit, so you have to use your energy in order to dodge. Dodging is free in the other games, but you have to spend grit to dodge here, and it really helps actually with combat feeling like you're running away from 100 zombies, right? So if you're trying to run away and you keep getting attacked, you keep getting tireder and tireder as you're jumping out of the way. If you're running away from 12 bandits and you're one guy, it's the same sort of dynamic, and it makes you, as a player, judge a little differently how to spend grit. So it's the same very simple idea, everything costs the same resource grit, but because you're spending it a little differently, it really highlights the sort of low-tech, old-school deadliness of medieval fighting. So far, Chris Pickett and I have GM'd several games with a lot of players, and it's been so fun to be able to play at 20-Sided Store in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and big thanks to the owner, Lauren Blanco. And we've had a lot of fun because we're not just playing with people in person, we're playing a sustained campaign with people who are totally new to the game, who are new to us, but who are absolutely making the best characters. They love it. And they have had a lot of fun basically fighting essentially evil cultists in Turkey in the year 1390. And I've had a lot of fun with some Greek monks who make a lot of cheese. And I won't tell you other than just they're creepy. There's some creepy monks, they make a lot of cheese. So we're dwelling on some of these just real like daily life facts that we could find about the Middle Ages, but telling some really epic stories about trying to save your city from, again, hordes of mutants. And the players have really responded. They've really gotten into the sort of joke and inhabited their characters and kind of leaned into the idea that they are mutants. They are exiles, they're criminals, but they have an important job to do, and they are adventurers, and there's something heroic about choosing to fight back and to build a new community in the face of an apocalypse. So along with the Danse Macabre medieval horror role-playing rulebook, we also are going to have a book called Guide to the Abandoned World that has different settings, and then we're offering a whole other book that's going to be pretty substantial called Unsunken, Paris Below, which I'm the lead writer on. Obviously, Chris Pickett, the creator of the game, is involved, but I'm writing it really from the standpoint of Omega Dungeon. So we're not calling it that. That's an anachronistic term, but what it is basically exploring all of the different real mines and caves, natural limestone caves, and calaria, so the sort of cellars beneath old buildings, all these castles. Paris is so old, and it's full of these beautiful castles and churches, and there's different factions vying for power after the abandonment, after the apocalypse. And so we're just proposing, what if we kind of keep the above sort of historical and below becomes more fantastical, more like, a dungeon. So it's going to have 4 different sort of areas that are very different, with different factions beneath and different demoniacs, different encounters, including mostly in Paris, because the Royal Army is taking care of the sort of Norman core zombies. Demoniacs reges. A demoniac rex is like a mutant zombie who's retained their intelligence and often gotten wild powers. So they're sort of bosses. So this mega dungeon is all about basically ultimately trying to work with common people, push back against the mad young king and the army and the nobles, and really understand what's going on underneath the sprawling city, which is the biggest city in Europe at the time by far. Well, we're really excited to be partnering with RP Jesters, who are very cool professional AP folks, actual play streamers, and they do a really good job. They do different games all the time. They do sort of 10-episode arcs, and they picked Danse Macabre as a new game to try out, and it's been really fun to hear and talk with them a little about sort of how they're approaching setting up a historical campaign as folks who aren't coming as much from history, but just from playing a lot of RPGs and being really good actors and funny. So it's a different take, but it's very much in line, with the kinds of stories that Chris and I enjoy telling. That's been really fun to hear. Again, we have kind of nothing to do with it. We just gave them the rules and said, have fun. Chris and I are going to run a bunch of streaming games. So September, October, watch out. We're going to post, just a lot of streaming games. Try to get a bunch of people, friends, to check it out with us. And those will be up on YouTube after. And then we should be able to announce a special live event for the campaign. So I can't say too much right now, but we have basically a bunch of games to show off with different groups, different players, just how you can tell stories. And again, they can range. They don't all have to be super serious or all set in Constantinople. That is the setting in the book, to give GMs a sense of how this might work, in a big city after an apocalypse in medieval times. But, I'm excited. I'm running games set in Paris, and I'm working with Sunari Paiwang on our team on Thailand as a setting. So there's a lot of fun other stories to tell, given that we're looking at the whole world that's been abandoned. So the first thing you should do is head over to stillfleet.com/danse, DANSE, or you could just go to Kickstarter and check out, look for Danse Macabre, same difference, and follow the campaign. So that way you'll just get notified when we go live. You can read some details, and we're going to keep updating that a little, but really that is a way to just make sure that when it does go live, you have the opportunity to check out the full campaign page, campaign video, all that stuff. From now until when we go live on October 7th, we'll be posting more on social media. So you can definitely check out stillfleet.com or @stillfleet anywhere on social media. And you can also find us on Discord. We're pretty active. We actually run free Danse Macabre games every other week, and we can definitely, schedule some pickup games. And you can find us easily via this permanent invite. That is discord.stillfleet.com. So if you're not part of our Discord community, check it out. Everybody's super cool, and we do a lot of fun games, a lot of open games. You can just watch if you want. So discord.stillfleet.com is a great way to get in touch. There is also a free quick start. So if you're interested in Danse Macabre and want to see sort of an earlier version of the rules with a lot of cool material, amazing art by Christopher Pickett, you can check out Danse Macabre Prima Mors, so First Death. And that's available via itch, DTRPG, all the usual places.